Right, so while we were here today, we are filming the first instalment of, what we call it, the guest episode thing for the Winning Ways All In
All access
section, All Access. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Same
all
thing.
on it. All Access, he'd already told me to say that. And we're out with Nick. So, while we're out, we thought, what a better opportunity than to have another little podcast edition with someone with a little bit more stuff to talk about.
that was a polite version.
You know what I mean? It's not all about overshotting and throwing loads of maggots in all the time, is it? But no, what an opportunity to chat about Nick. A couple of different things, innit?
Yeah.
And firstly, what are we going to talk about first?
What are we doing? The 1%, I think we were calling it.
1%.
So I suppose it's something that in videos everyone talks about a lot, the little like 1% edges and being that bit better. But I guess having you two together from different sides of commercial fishing, I suppose, and doing different sides, what sort of in your head is that those little bits or those little thought processes that give you an advantage over everyone else fishing the match?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, I'm liking that, because you are very much, without blowing my own trumpet, and yours, well, I like blowing trumpets, thingy, it's what takes everything to the next level, isn't it? And it is our attention to detail.
Yes.
That definitely influences that, isn't it? Because it's about being a faffer, isn't it? That's what you need to be. You need to be faffy and to be able to...
Can you not be a ligger?
Not be a ligger. I never understand the ligging bit. I know what faffing is, but what's a ligger? What does Matt refer to a ligger as?
That when you like lig on and you just fish
You
like
just
a
sit
lobworm,
there.
6
The
foot
lazy-
over
the
down
lazy
the way.
Between
option.
legs and wait for elastic to come out.
That's what the lazy option, isn't it?
yeah.
Just, definitely not liggers, are we?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. What do you think of this, Nick? What?
Well, it's interesting, this, the attention to detail. So this is how I base it on a few factors that, and I say this when I coach people, that it's so easy for us to sit here saying, do you know what, do this, it's simple. It's quite simple.
Yeah.
But simplicity comes with experience, and the experience gives you that knowledge, and the knowledge gives you the confidence, and the confidence gives you the patience.
Yeah.
And then you're on a different level.
There's a lot rolled in, isn't there? Do you find it hard as well? Again, I'm going back to Matt a lot. Matt, he's a very clever one, isn't he? And he points out that I think through coaching we've got better, because we've done a lot of coaching between us.
Yeah.
You learn how to put things across better.
Yeah.
When you first started coaching, did you not notice how many little extra things you were doing? And then slowly, as you spoke to people more, you realised, oh, I do that, and I didn't even realise I did that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But also, I think a lot of it comes back from it, and Andy's a perfect. It's all about passion. Look, we're very lucky to do what we do, but we've worked hard for it.
Yeah.
But also, we're passionate about what we do, and everything that we do, there has to be an explanation behind it. Otherwise, how can you move forward from that point?
Yeah, how can you get better from...
And I think that's the most important part, that you have to have an explanation behind why you want to do something different. And that 1% is exactly that. From why do you focus on, let's say, for example, going bayonets, or for example, I have different weight bayonets. Let's say, for example, the wind might pick up.
Yeah.
And I want my bait to be less buoyant so it's not moving.
Yeah.
And little things like that, I believe make a difference in my fishing.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to have that with fishing, because it's the only sport where we can't see the object ball. We're trying to surmise and guess what's happening under that water. So you've got to have complete confidence in what you believe in, because unlike golf, we can see the flag when we're hitting the ball, and a bad golfer knows he's bad because his ball's going in completely the wrong direction to where the flag is.
Yeah.
With a fisherman, you can hit that ball in the wrong direction all your life but still catch fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know what impact what you're doing is having, because it's vanishing. Isn't
And there's so many variables that if you're not honest with yourself, you can say, well, he's caught more than me because he's been on a better peg, or the wind's been better for him, or my peg was too deep, or...
That's huge, you know.
There comes a point
Huge what you
where
just
you've
said
got to be honest and say, do you know what? I don't think I've fished it right today. I think I've made the wrong decision. And he's
Are
fished
you like
a better
that?
match than me.
Do you kick your own arse
100%.
every single time on the way home?
I've got a Ford Transit Connect, and I think I'm on my 4th steering wheel.
But that, honest to God, I think that's our biggest learning thing. When you get to the top level, Do you know what I see it on lots on Facebook posts? And I can tell the sort of angler someone is through a Facebook post.
Yeah.
And the ones that make excuses are the ones that stay where they are.
Yeah.
It's the ones that make up external reasons why they didn't win.
I think you've got to be honest with yourself
Of course,
to move. You know, the man that never made a mistake never made anything.
So very rarely is it not your fault when you don't win. Yeah. If you're close.
It's quite interesting this, because let's say, for example, I'm tying hooks at home, and I know all the little things that I do, and I'm tying them hooks. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Yeah,
you know,
feel prep.
But I know that I'm doing something that I believe nobody else is doing. But I can show somebody what I've done, but how they actually horse to water and all that, you know, how they actually utilise that information, that's up to them. And often it's not the same. We're all individual, aren't we? Do you know what I mean?
You're sort of mean how much time they're willing to put in, whether they're prepared to get to that. Like you just said that to me about your, what they call bayonets.
Yeah.
Messing about with weight and all of that. I could take that as, oh, he's faffing about there.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Or I could take it about as, flipping heck, that'll make a difference.
Yeah,
I could do that.
That's right.
I think that
little
sort
window
of thing is, I don't know if everyone else is the same, but it's dead. I'm almost stubborn with stuff until I see it for myself.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm in a weird position where I get to go out with all sorts of anglers of like top of the game at various things. And I don't know, it's not that I don't believe them, but I need to see it happen to have it happen to myself to be like, actually, that makes sense. And then I start doing it. And I don't know, it's just, I suppose seeing it for yourself versus even seeing someone else do it, I don't know why it doesn't sink in.
You're not convinced.
I think it comes back to where we started, which is you always want to strive. You always want to, your aspirations are always higher. You always want to get to that next level. And luckily we're in a sport that I think we think we have an idea, but really we haven't got a clue.
No.
It's, you know,
we're very bad at catching
That's
them.
why everyone has their own take on how they think they should fish. And it's a beautiful sport for that reason, in my opinion.
It's probably the only sport that massively evolves as well.
Yeah.
In that our actual target get cleverer. That doesn't happen in anything else.
You never get bored.
No, because they change all the time, don't they?
You're dealing with nature, and that to me is a challenge in itself. And my belief, and one of the 1% that I'm massively confident in, is I'm so in tune with the weather. And when I was, I'll tell you a really good story. When I was doing really well at Hawcroft, when I first started doing meat fishing at Hawcroft, this was like mid-90s, and I was dominating Hawcroft at the back end of the 90s, but I still hadn't figured out this shallow fishing. This, of course, this is a new evolution. We've got commercial fishing coming, all of a sudden somebody's catching shallow and you're thinking, it doesn't make sense, this.
Yeah.
And then, I'll never ever forget, this was the turning point for me. I was fishing at Hawcroft in an open match. It was a red hot day on the reed pool, and it was that hot. As soon as the match finished, I dived in. And I'm not as you do. Yeah. I wouldn't dream of doing it now because I know what's in the water. Exactly. But it was like, I dived in, I was like, oh my God, this is just like being in a sauna. It was beautiful. And I swam out to the middle of the lake, and as soon as I got to the middle of the lake, I leveled my body up, and it was almost as if I went, oh my God, as if I'd put my...
You're not on the bottom.
I'd put my feet in a bucket of cold water.
Yeah.
And I went, right, I get it now.
Yeah.
And then after that, the next match, I set 4 shallow rigs up and won the match.
Because you didn't fish on the bottom.
Because it made sense.
Yeah.
And then
to be there because of...
I got in touch with Bruno Broughton, who was a fish scientist.
Right.
And then he told me everything about air pressure, how it affects the thermocline, at what level the thermocline's at, which is, you've got columns, you've got the hypermillennium, the thermocline, the lower millennium. It's all dictated by where the air pressure is. And that can change at a split second, like now. From 5 minutes ago,
I was
all of a sudden,
on 5 minutes ago.
Once you get to that level, that 1% level, you understand, I need to do something different here.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, your margin's 3 foot deep, air pressure lifts, you start getting liners, foul looking fish, you either have to change your feeding pattern, or right, I need to find that slightly shallower water now.
Yeah.
But your
Quickly as
other
well.
anglers will be thinking, well, what am I doing wrong? I was catching 10 minutes
They
ago.
don't. They blame it on the fish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, there's too many in my peg, or they don't click on there's been a change.
So following the weather to me is first and foremost, because it is the cornerstone and the footprint to how you should fish the peg and how the fish want to be caught as opposed to how you want to catch the fish.
Yeah. We've mentioned that loads, haven't we, about, well, you've said it just before we started this. You never start your match until the peg's in your hand and you look at the weather.
Yeah.
That's when you start your match. You don't start your match in the van with preconceived idea of, I'm fishing shallow today.
100%.
Unless you know. There is an exception. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Heat of the summertime, red hot day.
Yeah, you
wherever
go into
you
fish
draw,
mugging.
you know it's the only way.
Yeah, it's blatantly obvious, isn't it? But yeah, it's keeping your eyes open. It's won me fish show on last Wednesday. That I qualified for fish show, knowing there was a change
I must say,
happening.
mate, I've got to take me off too.
No, it's just drawing
You're just phenomenal.
It's not phenomenal. It's endlessly going. We've talked about this yesterday, haven't we, in another podcast?
Yeah.
Let's not touch on that. That's just repetitive going. If you fling enough shit, something sticks. But it was, the clay pit was different where I was, and it's on about that pressure thing. It is. Paying attention to that is huge as an angler.
But yeah, that's true. Clay pit or venues like that are so susceptible to pressure because of the depth.
Yeah, it's magnified, if anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a massive day when it changed massively, didn't it? It was, I don't know about I think the air pressure must change, but it was low and cold and cool in the morning and raining to this at 12 o'clock. Yeah. And it was like that. They literally went, didn't they? In 2 minutes they came up.
Yeah. And also we're in the time of the year, and it's the most, if you don't follow the weather, then you can fall behind at this transition period of the year where everything's changing. We've also got the fish wanting to spawn, the water temperature's rising, all the natural organisms are starting to come to life, the fish are moving, the water's getting coloured. If you don't understand that, you can't move forward with your approaches or the changes that you need to make.
Yeah, you're not going to be doing the right things. Do you think now's worse? This is the worst time, isn't it? I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the end of the worst time.
Yeah.
As regards to once the fish, that's right.
Once it levels out.
This is the worst time, actually, you're right. So once it's levelled out after they've spawned, everything starts, there's a little bit more continuity to what you're doing.
Yeah.
But at the moment, you could come on a venue, empty it one day, and if they're spawning, next minute you could be having to fish worms or whatever, just to create a response.
Yeah.
And you cast it, and all of a sudden you're shallow fishing, whereas 2 days before you've caught a load, you're having to wait till the last 90 minutes to catch shallow then.
Yeah. But it's your experience and understanding what's going on that can lead you to help you understand that that's going to occur, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, even on a new venue, not even venue knowledge can do that.
I suppose it's trust, like what you're saying there, trusting it as well, that if you're spending all day mugging or something and you're getting odd fish, but you sort of know, or you know that something's going to work later on, trusting your own knowledge and everything that it will happen, rather than getting to the point that
100%.
a lot of people do, where they're like, oh, that's not working, right, shit or bust, I'll fill it in. And
yeah,
then
100%.
Yeah, but they don't open their eyes as well, though. Like, mugging's the best example of seeing what fish are doing, because if you can mug fish, I don't know if you'll agree, but if there's muggers available in numbers, they ain't feeding any other way, so you're not going to catch them down the edge and things like that.
Yeah.
Because they're there, they're not feeding, they're visibly
they're happy to
not
be
seeing.
there. Yeah.
If that's happening, you never catching another. You might catch shallow, but you won't catch on the bottom long.
But it's also true what Rich says, that you have to keep juggling them balls, and there's only a small percentage of anglers out there that actually. I'm one of these. Let's say, for example, you've got 3 balls. You always start with 1 ball, because you start on the line that you know will put fish in the net, and you give it 100%, because you know the other lines will look after themselves when you start feeding
you're
bait.
learning line, sort of.
Yeah. And in theory, you're thinking, well, there's no point in, it's always gone on for years. You know, your club anglers, they'll feed a short line, and let's put a pot of bait out long, and let's get them in. They're already there. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But you start with 1 ball, then you add another ball to the mix. Then middle of the lull match, you know, second, third, beginning of the 4th hour, you now got 3 balls. But by the end of the 4th hour, you've chucked 2 of them balls away, or at worst 1 of them balls. And then with 40 minutes to go, you've got 1 ball in your hand.
Yeah.
But you've got to keep them balls juggling, and the better anglers understand that. And a lot of people, kind of like what Rich says, they just give up. And I think the most important thing is just it's the knowledge that you've got, that you know sooner or later something's going to happen. And how I think is the later it happens is only telling you that the lake's fishing harder or the venue's fishing harder.
Yeah. Yeah, other people will have shown you that as well, so you're not getting it wrong because no one's getting it right.
That's right.
Yeah, you've got to seeing that comes on to timing, doesn't it, as well? I think that's something that the best anglers do better than anyone else as well. It's the timing of the matches because of what they're reading.
Yeah, it don't feel right. Something feels wrong. You've got to make
weird,
that change.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. But you can't.
Yeah.
50% of the time, you couldn't explain why it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just you just know, innit, that I'm going to drop in the edge and catch one now.
Because filming all the live matches, I think this is. I've tried to explain it to quite a few people where I sit behind you and it's not like you're doing a lot differently. Everything's slightly better, a little bit more refined, but it's that sort of decision making, your timing that you almost can't get across to people without.
What puts you ahead and they don't see that.
And I still think there's a vast majority of people who think there's like one big secret that everyone's keeping behind that you're suddenly going to tell them and then it's going to like revolutionise a fish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It is just all those little bits and pieces that you can do better to. But yeah, because if you could put one extra fish in the net in every match you fished in a year, your results would be massively different.
Yeah.
It's not massive margins.
Another thing I've got to say, right, is it just me, but let's say, for example, you're in a match and you've not had a brilliant match and it gets to that crucial time and you're let's say 15 minutes to go and all of a sudden you've got an arrival, you're catching fish and you're thinking, do you know what, if I get one more fish, I've won match. I just know it. You get that feeling that you just need one more fish. Yeah. And I was doing a live video at the Glebe on Wednesday. And I got 6 in the last 15 minutes down the edge, all good fish. And I says today, I landed one on whistle. I says I needed one more. I just know I needed one more fish. As it turned out, I needed 3. But I actually needed, I was 4th in the match. I needed one more to come second. But you have that feeling, and then other times you have that feeling where you've landed a fish, you think, I needed that one. That's done it. That's done it for me. Yeah. But yet you can't see 70% of the anglers, but you just know.
You just have a feeling. Yeah. And you don't even know what weight you've got, and you don't know what weight they've got.
Yeah, yeah, that's
But you
right.
think, I just needed that.
Yeah, yeah.
But is that not just knowing that you've done things right, you've made the right decisions, you've got the most out your peg, and like as you sort of know that.
I don't know about that. You most out your peg and that. You just
no.
It's just weird because you may have spanned it up for 4 hours, like you said.
That's right. Yeah.
You just. Yeah, it's from what you've seen, I suppose, isn't it? It's what you've seen, but you just get a feeling of it's that type of day. But that's experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's you doing that 3 million times and knowing it's this type of day today. That's how the
I suppose, what are the other bits sort of away from the fishing, be it mentality? Obviously, you've touched on a bit of prep and stuff like that.
Well, it's dead interesting. We've both just had a chat before as well. We're both the same in that we don't want to know anything about. No, it's not the way of going. We don't want to.
You don't want to talk drabble in the morning.
Yeah, I don't want any predictions before I start.
Yeah.
I don't like knowing about pegging. I don't like knowing about what people think will win. You just want to.
Yeah. Or the worst thing is, not the worst thing is, I think a lot of people look at it in a positive way. So where do you want to be today, Nick? Well, I'll let the peg tell me where I want to be.
The best one.
I want to be on the best peg, but you draw what you draw kind of thing. Unless it's a final, when you're looking forward to a final, then you look at your pegs. You look at your pegs completely differently.
Yeah.
And the build up to a final is completely different.
I find finals unpleasant because of that.
Yeah.
Really unpleasant. I hate the anticipation of what I predict may happen. It never flipping does either.
Yeah, but also with finals, because of the bankside activity and the pressure on the lake, it's like you're going to a new venue half the time.
Yeah.
You know, and all that practicing is kind of like out of the equation.
Yeah, waste of time. Do you know any of that? Do you do much practicing? Have you in the past?
I'm not a big practicer.
No.
Because I think you get to, look, just certain people like Alan, you know, he hasn't got to where he is without being, you know, 5 times world champion without the amount of. He gives everything 110%. He gets up every morning and ties hooks. He preps every single day. If he's on like a festival next week, he's been here twice this week practicing. He wants to fine tune his approach. Me, I've kind of like that much confidence in how I'm going to fish that I feel as if I don't need to practice, and I'd actually rather have clarity in my mind and not fish.
Yeah.
And put all that attention into the crunch time when it's actually happening.
Yeah, what's occurring that day rather than, oh, this happened in practice.
Exactly.
But it's different then.
Exactly.
I'm exactly the same as you. I know lots of people are, like Bennett's the same, Power's the same. They're all, do what they know.
Save it for the right moment, so to speak.
Because it's impossible to replicate the situation that you're going to be in.
Yeah.
So don't spanner it up with,
you could
fish another venue.
Then in your case, isn't your practice effectively just fishing open matches and other stuff, so you're sort of getting used to making those decisions on the fly, and that's
well, like
more
that,
valuable?
yeah. I'd rather be on it by fishing matches.
Yeah, because that's the most relative environment.
Because that's like match conditions, and you're thinking like that. Whereas if you
it just clicks you in.
If you come to Benny's practicing, it's just
you're
one among whatever you do.
You're wasting your time. But also, you take an average peg, you could fish the same peg 10 days on the trot, and every day will be different.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't take that into consideration when they're practicing. There's practicing, commercial fishing, practicing commercials is very different to naturals. Naturals is completely different.
Yeah.
There's a bit more continuity to what you're learning.
Yeah.
But
it's easier to replicate on naturals as well. Do you know what I mean? If a few of you are out, it'll be similar.
Yeah.
So commercials are just horrible things, aren't they? That are so...
I suppose it is. Match time is more... Because if you do a 5-day festival, by day 5, you're so in tune with everything. It's just like, everything's easy. You're not thinking about things too much, and you're set up right every time. You fish well, you're not wasting that first hour doing the wrong thing. And I think that's...
I tell you, if somebody said to me, right, if you had to think of your biggest edge in your head that you think is above everybody else, you've got to believe that as an angler. Otherwise, what's the point in what we're doing? It would 100% be my bait prep. So as I'm prepping my
bait prep,
I'm thinking, yeah,
it doesn't get better than that.
Exactly, that's the words. It doesn't get better than that. That's how I think.
What sort of prep are we talking? Are we talking like certain additives and stuff like that, or just how you prepare it?
Yeah, both. So how I prepare it, but also, let's say for example, I go long range method. I'm so confident in my approach that I'm doing. And let's say for example, I use an additive called Complex T in my pellets. And I know that there's so few people that might be using it, but not in the right way. And I know when I'm fishing at range, and I'm around people that might be fishing near that distance, I just know I'm ahead of them.
Better than
I know that, and that's going to get me that extra bite. Or
is just sort of on a tangent. Are you using that to be more attractive, or is it to get your bait to behave in a certain way?
No, it's attractive.
Yeah.
It's and this comes from working with people like Dynamite, like Mark Baker, that actually educate you on what happens with bait and the pH levels.
Yeah.
And
I have it with Ian Day at Sonia Bait, and their knowledge,
it's unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same as into our context as you've had a nice meal, you're full to the brim, you've gone out for a drink one night, you walk past a fish and chip shop, and obviously you think, oh, that smells nice.
Yeah,
so
smell got you.
I'll get some chips. That to me is what certain things do, and that's when we were developing the washters. We've put an additive in this washter in every colour of the washters, but when we were testing them, we were only putting the additive in a specific colour, and whatever that colour was on the day, that was the best colour.
Was it?
Yeah, 100%. And it was almost like night and day. So we'd be using a normal, a neutral washter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, right, let's catch a fish now. Put one with that additive on, chuck it out, right, give it 4 minutes. Oh, there we go, got one. Yeah. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Is that the first point you ever believed in?
100%.
Was it? Before
that was the turning point.
Yeah.
Before that, I always thought, well, it might put an extra fish in your net, but it's not enough to convince me that I need to make that change in my fishing. Yeah. But actually, after that, I was like, wow.
I don't see additives in all them as the fish, the miracle bait. I see them as the attention grabber.
Yeah.
Which is why you get a bite off them when you don't on other things. Some of them grab their attention and, what's that? Oh, it's a bait, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
Whereas other ones don't. But it's a confidence thing that you've understand the things that create more confidence within you.
And it's amazing what confidence does.
Oh,
You know,
frightening.
I'm sat there and I'm thinking, he'll go.
yeah.
And whether it's a flow or a tip, you just know something's going to happen sooner or later. Don't worry about it. Everything's all right. It'll
Yeah.
work.
Chill out. Bennett's
Yeah.
the best one I've ever
Yeah.
seen for that.
Yeah.
So relaxed. and-
Yeah.
But they know, innit? What I'm doing's right. Stop flapping. No one
Yeah.
else is catching.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
win in a minute.
If you're on plan C or D, or E or F, whatever, like you've started on what you think and what you should, unless it's a brand new venue and you might go totally wrong. If it's somewhere you're fairly up on, you know how it works, your first couple of ideas are going to be what's going to win effectively, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's very rare that you get it that wrong. They wouldn't, so it is almost giving it time that if you keep changing stuff, you're onto the weird shit that's probably never going to work anyway.
Yeah, once you go weird, there's no going back.
Yeah.
It's all over.
Well, I'm up then, aren't I?
That whole mental side of it is so big, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you see it a lot, especially people drawing next to you, where almost their head goes to, well, I'm not going to beat you fishing normally, so I'm going to do something
weird.
totally random. I'm going to fish shallow down the edge or something all day, and it's like they're beaten already at that point.
Yeah, you
and
can
that's-
overthink fishing
yeah.
because it all comes down to the object ball. Because you can't see the object ball, a lot of it's guesswork if you haven't got that confidence.
Yeah. You can't be
And
like
you can
that.
tell
Do you
the
find that when you're
guessers.
fishing? That's
You
a
can
good thing
tell
I'm
the
going on.
guessers.
When you are fishing, I always refer to my decisions in that way. In that I never want to make a decision, move into a line, move into a method, whatever, of, oh, I want to just try that and see what happens. I feel like every decision I make within reason,
It makes sense.
I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I get it right.
So for example, today you'll be coming on here, you'll be thinking, well, I'll be fishing shallow. Let's say, for example, the angler's on there. I'll be fishing shallow and down the edge.
Yeah.
It's the only thing to do.
Nothing stupid.
There's no point in doing anything
No,
else.
you're not setting a rod up to, oh, I'll fish a bomb over there.
And the longer that shallow line takes to work, it's just one of them things. But it's going to work.
Yeah, you know
You just
that's
have to
what you
work
have to do.
harder when it does work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I
we
suppose.
sum that up. I like that.
Lots of little things.
That was like proper interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Sorry, Anne, it's not looking good for you after this, mate. Clay pit this year next to Steve, one of the old boys caught 18 foot deep on a jigger. Set his jigger up on top 5 and caught on it.
That's just
I'd quit fishing for it, did that.
one rig cover all.
It isn't.
There'll be somewhere in that 18 foot.
18 foot deep jigger he caught.
Slap him with 18 foot.
Honest. Well, Steve told me to fish. When I told him where I drew it fishing, he said, make sure you set top 4 jigger up. I'm going to hung up on him. Yep, heard enough. Bye-bye.